Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Sapient. Today on the episode, we have another guest, and her name is Mical. So, welcome, Mical. Welcome to the episode.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Ganesh.
So, yeah, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Mical. I am currently living in Tampa, Florida. I am actually Filipino. I was born in the Philippines and we immigrated to the USA when I was 3 years old.
So, you are the
And
first generation, is it?
second, so my parents came here, yeah. And then, yeah,
Got it. So, you're still considered as Asian?
yes, I still consider myself as Asian.
Mm. So, yeah, could you please, tell us more about yourself? Currently where you're living, and what's the local culture about your city?
Sure. So I live in Tampa, Florida right now. It is on the east coast of the United States of America. And I live in an urban population of maybe a million or more than a million people. It's
Mm-hmm.
heavily populated, but we are one of the vacation destinations in the US because we have a lot of beaches and Disney World. If you've heard of Disney World, I live about an
Yes.
hour away from Disney World.
Okay. So that must be really good, is it?
It's cool, it's fun, but
Uh-huh.
to be honest, when you live here and you
Yeah.
work, it becomes just another part of your life that you don't really get to see all the time. But maybe when you have kids, it becomes part of the routine. Right now, our daughter is only 2, so she does
Mm-hmm.
not really understand it yet, but maybe when
Uh-huh.
she's older.
So, Tampa being, as you said, a tourist destination, there must be, multiple cultures and, just a melting pot of, different kind of people.
Yeah, so where I live, we're actually I mean, melting pot is truly the right word because there's Indian cuisine that's down the street, there's Thai cuisine that's
Mm-hmm.
down the street, and Filipino fast food.
Okay.
So we have a lot of. It's a very diverse.
Okay. And so what do you feel, the general vibe is of your city? Like it's fun, it's chill, or it's uptight.
Um, what are the people like basically? Like what do I
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, just the
encounter?
general mood of the city.
Mode. Okay, so I would say people are friendly. Unlike people who would probably be in New York City, people just kind of go about by their ways and they don't really wave hi or look at you.
Mm-hmm.
I here where I live, if you see people walking down the street, you say hi and people will gladly smile and wave. It's pretty friendly, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and people can strike conversation at any time. Maybe you're standing in the middle of of the grocery store and you're waiting to check out and
Mm-hmm.
someone next to you could be talking to you and striking a conversation.
Got it. So it's a more, welcome and warm kind of city, right?
It is, yeah. It's welcoming and I would say anybody here can move and thrive because people are
Mm-hmm.
willing to help.
Got it. So, Mikhail, I want to understand more about you. Like what did you study, and in which field are you currently working?
Sure. So growing up in the US, I went to school here up till college. And then I went to the Philippines to finish up more of my education, my higher education. I went to medical school in the Philippines in Manila, and I graduated with my medical doctorate. So I'm a doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
then I moved back to the States and was pursuing residency. At the time, I met my husband, and I was working towards getting into a program, residency program. So
Mm-hmm.
we were not married yet, but we were dating while I was in this process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is leaning into more of my story, but when we finally got married, the whole world shut down and
Mm-hmm.
COVID had hit the whole world. So, because of that, opportunities to become a resident had become different than it was prior to COVID, pre COVID. So, things had changed. I went into a different direction in my career path, and I studied to become a nutrition coach because my husband and I did get married in 2019. But like I said, 5 months later, the whole world shut down, which threw me into a different situation. So my husband started his online fitness business, and I decided that I would join him. So I did that through becoming a certified nutrition coach.
Okay, so you currently you are a certified nutritionist, right?
Yes, I am doing that for our small business. Yes.
Okay, so shifting from medical to let's say food, how similar was that change in terms of the kind of knowledge that you had to gain in a very short period of time.
So I say it was 70% new info. Not, it was, hmm, I don't think it was totally new information. I think I needed to
Mm-hmm.
shift the way that I was thinking, because in medicine, we only have an elective, one course regarding nutrition, and it wasn't as extensive. So we learned the basics. And I think what I needed to do was really combine the two. So I think it wasn't really new. 70% wasn't new. I think the 70% that I'm talking about is that it was newly integrated in my way of thinking and approach to people,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm no longer providing pharmaceuticals or medicine to people to lower their cholesterol, help them with their blood sugar. But now I am helping them become better educated and informed of the food and making food as their medicine. So that was a new mindset shift for myself. And then I had to embrace that I'm
Mm-hmm.
no longer wearing a white coat and prescribing medication, but and then seeing people either get better or get worse or stay the same and not really change. But now I'm really helping people become more empowered with their nutrition, with food choices. And now they get off of medication. And now they have a better lifestyle than they were before.
So, Mikhail, I think you are in a very, let's say, unique position of understanding medicine at the same time understanding food and humans at the same time.
Mhm.
So, my question is, what do you think about, let's say, this wave of people, talking about body positivity and talking about nutrition does not work, they don't want to be fit anymore, like what do you think about this trend that that's started to come up now?
Body positivity. I think there's a point where you have to look at yourself and love who you are as a person. And I think God created us individually unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the body positivity, where we accept who and how God created us, is primary. But if we have made choices in our lives that we know is affecting our future and our present day, so for example, someone could be overweight
Mm-hmm.
and still love themselves and love how they feel or love how they look, but not how they feel, because they're feeling the back pain, they're feeling the consequences of high blood pressure and high blood sugar. Then it's not to degrade how or who they are as a person. And I think that's what body positivity should be, that if a person is 4'11" like myself, I should be proud of that. I shouldn't, put myself down or compare myself to others. But if I
Yes.
have made decisions to affect my well-being, then body positivity doesn't do anything for me. It's not helping me get better. So I would say that whole mindset is actually skewed, because it's not empowering the person to make better decisions. I think at a certain point, it makes people feel like I'm going to shove those problems down because I like the way that I am and I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to work on that. So I think body positivity is a very skewed misconception of what it should be in relationship to who you are as a person.
Yeah, but because you might be looking at this TikToks or reels on Instagram promoting body positivity, because even I am even me sitting in India, I am able to look at these reels, and they show up on my feed where people are
Mm-hmm.
talking about body positivity to an extreme level where it almost feels like they really do not care about, let's say, what the person who may take inspiration from this and may stop working on themselves, you know
Mm-hmm.
so they do not count, I think, the kind of health hazard that they are putting themselves into.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a nutritionist, do you feel that there is some kind of moral responsibility of let's say doctors and medical professionals, to to make a stand up and say, like, this is what is good and this is bad?
Yeah, I because we are looked at because my degree as a medical doctor, we were looked at someone who is able to empower or help, actually help is a better word, help the person become better, even in mindset of the health and disease and the situation that that person is in. So I think providing that, and the problem here being in the US is that doctors don't really do that. We don't really provide the necessary um, help for that individual to see that, yeah, this is important for you to actually work on. But this whole body positivity thing we shy away from, like, because it's really sticky in the US right now. A lot of people are too soft to hear the reality of words, to hear the reality of where their health is, until they go to the doctor and they have an issues, and the doctor will tell them work on this. But the problem is that that patient or that person can get affected because of how they are. So
Hmm.
it's a really sticky situation, because again, in the US, a lot of people are easily offended. But I do feel that there is a responsibility by the medical field and even people that are working on my field to help others understand what that should really mean. What does body positivity actually mean? And then the consequences of not taking care of your health, and not
Hmm.
taking care of making better decisions with your nutrition, because that is a huge key.
Got it. So I think my next question is, what is your like, let's say, few basic bare minimum tips to those people who say that nutrition and cooking food on my own is expensive?
Ah, nutrition and cooking food on your own is expensive. Actually, I think I understand globally the prices, inflation, things are getting harder for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think if you're smart to look at things differently, one, having a different perspective, understanding how to budget properly. Maybe there's some things that you don't really need every single day. Like, for example, here in the US, there are people that complain that they can't afford things like
Mm-hmm.
buying things that are organic. But however, they go to Starbucks every single day and spend $5, $10 on coffee.
Yes.
So if we are just eliminating the little mundane things like that, you'd be able to save money, and then you'd be able to purchase things that are of better quality. However, I would say the easy things to do right now to help build a better foundation with nutrition is cutting off all refined sugars if you can. But the easy way to do that is slowly taper it off. So
Mm-hmm.
if sugar, in terms of sodas or sweet drinks that you guys may have there in India,
Mm-hmm.
you start to cut that off. So I have a client that was drinking 6 bottles of Mountain Dew every single day, 6 bottles, and they were 24
Six
ounces.
bottles
Yes, 6 bottles of Mountain Dew.
Okay, and how much is that in liters? Sorry, I don't know ounces.
Let me see.
Let me just check. I will. I'm just checking to liters how much it is. So you said 24 ounces, right?
Yeah, 24 ounces. Yep.
Okay, so that's around 700 ml, and they were consuming up to six. Okay, that is that is way too high, I think.
That's what she was used to
Uh
because
huh.
she works in a very, she didn't drink water, she didn't drink anything that was healthy for her, but she
Okay.
just drank that every single day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. That was her form of energy, and that was her form of water. So
Okay.
she was drinking that every single day. But as I worked with her, we cut it off every week. We started to lower it down.
Mm-hmm.
So every day we were able to taper it, or if she hadn't gotten to come down one in 1 week, we would work on it the next week. So
Mm-hmm.
little by little, we got her down to one bottle or to no bottle at all. And she just lost a lot of weight. She dropped 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of the reason, because she started removing the sugar. The second thing that I would encourage people is, if buying these more expensive food and cooking at home is difficult or more expensive for you, what other foods that are unhealthy, that are processed, that you can start removing from your grocery list or that you typically buy, and in exchange of something healthy. So maybe there's a snack. Maybe there's, like in the Philippines, there's usually go-to snacks that we get that's processed, and it's usually chocolate or a lot of carbohydrates. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing in India, that there's a packaged food that maybe your kids like or you prefer. Or let's
Mm-hmm.
just say Oreos. Oreos is a common staple that everybody gets, I'm sure, around the world.
Yeah.
What if you remove the Oreo and buy something else that's a fruit that is sweet, that would give you the necessary carbohydrates, because our body does need carbs, but gives you more fiber,
Mm-hmm.
allows you to have the energy. So it's just creating that exchange and budgeting. And the third thing is, eating healthy doesn't necessarily mean um, having the expensive supplements and things of that nature. Eating healthy means having good amount of vegetables, more vegetables than you would with buying organic grass-fed meats or something like that. I think what people forget is that we need to have more fiber, we need to have more greens and leafy vegetables, and that is easily more attainable than you would all the other things. So if you start working on adding more vegetables in your diets, that's going to do a lot of wonders, just even for your gut health. So it would help regulate digestion, help regulate mood, and even hormone levels. So that is a way that you can start becoming healthier and cooking at home by adding more vegetables in your meals.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What you said, because in India, cooking food in house is far more cheaper and better than eating out. Even
Mm-hmm.
though we have street food here, which is very tasty and very cheap. It's very affordable. Even then, just buying vegetables and fruits and just cooking for yourself is far more efficient and economical in a long term.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is related to something you said earlier, because I have heard and I have seen documentaries of people in United States who prefer beer or some other alcoholic drink over water. And I saw a woman who was 60 plus years old, and she said that for the past 30 40 years, she has not uh, like consumed water. She's just
Wow.
on beer and wine. So my question was, is it that prevalent that people really don't think about water anymore?
Is that relevant, you're saying? Is that something that
Yeah, I
people are
mean,
doing?
correct. I mean, like, do you get to observe it on a regular basis?
I think when I speak to a lot of potential clients or people that are coming up to me asking for help, people forget to drink water. So there isn't an individual that says, "Oh, I drink beer or alcohol all the time or wine, and I don't drink water at all. I just refuse." No, I don't get that. But I get people that are on other drinks and then forget that water is actually better than that. I think what I see on the general scope of things when I speak to
Mm-hmm.
people is that these new up and coming trends of water infused with vitamins, water
Mm-hmm.
infused with other things becomes more of water to them. But
Yeah.
people just forget to drink that the basis of it is we need H2O, we need water, we need good, clean water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and unfortunately, I just feel like because the society that we live in, it's always on the go.
Mm-hmm.
People are always, on their feet and working or driving. So what they feel like is they need more energy or they need
Mm-hmm.
other sources for energy and they don't go
Yeah.
to water. They grab something else. And they usually grab the next soda can or they usually grab the next energy drink or something water but too much sugar in it, so it's not really water.
Yeah.
And that's what they tend to gravitate to and forget that they really need the basic life water.
Got it. So, like coming to the next point, let's say, what is your opinion? Because I'm really interested in this. What is your opinion on oils? Edible oils.
So there's different types of oils that have been thrown out there. So usually canola oil is a big one that is being
Mm-hmm.
used in restaurants, fast food industries, and that type of canola oil. And then they reuse it too. So sometimes they don't actually have a fresh batch, they reuse it. So it becomes even more unhealthy. And that is number one of the things that I would say don't buy, don't use. I would
Mm-hmm.
really stick to olive oil, more of that kind, seed oil. I would utilize that more than I would with canola oil.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do more of those are unsaturated fats, which is better. It's healthier. Then you can go even and dig deeper into the
Mm-hmm.
type of unsaturated fat and the type of olive oil because there's refined, there's unrefined, there's virgin oil, virgin olive
Yeah.
oil. But as a general sense, I would say stick to olive oil as the best type of cooking food because it's unsaturated fat
Mm-hmm.
and it would lessen the risk for you to increase cholesterol. And canola oil and all those other things are usually used even in processed food. So I would look
Mm-hmm.
at your boxes and look at the ingredient list to see what kind of oil they're also using, because that also plays a big role.
Got it.
But again, yeah, I would stick to olive oil and sticking to seed oil in that fashion because it's less risk for you to have
Mm-hmm.
high cholesterol, and it also helps because it's anti-inflammatory. They also have good healthy fats as well that is anti-inflammatory, and
Mm-hmm.
canola oil and things like that strike inflammation in our body.
Got it. Have you heard of rice bran oil?
Rice bran oil?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have not.
Okay. So, rice bran oil is, the outer layer of rice,
Yeah.
that hard, it will be like brown color. So they extract oil from that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
in India, it is considered as the worst,
Type
oil.
of oil. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, commercially people use it, but it is proven to be fatal. It's very dangerous actually.
Wow. It's probably because the rice bran that the coating itself and the way that they process it, it's not natural to use that coating, the bran,
Yeah.
because that's supposed to have a lot more fiber. I believe the shell of the wheat is supposed to have a lot more fiber, but if
Yeah.
you are making it into something that it's not naturally supposed to be made into, like oil,
Yes.
then you are putting it into a high process function. You're using a lot of other man-made sources, and then it becomes to make it oil, and then it becomes oil, then it becomes harmful for the body. So I would guess that it probably has trans fats and it probably has different types of chemicals in there that make it into oil,
Yes.
and that's probably why it's unhealthy. Just like trans fats
Mm-hmm.
is being banned because that's what happens when you put it into high processing. It creates a trans fat, which is a lot harder to break down. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's good to know. I did not know that. I've never been exposed to it here. I would be
Okay.
curious to see if it's exposed in the Philippines because I wonder if it's cheaper.
I think it's prevalent in Asia, and
Ah,
Yeah, and I am seeing many people complain about in United States too, where oils are being mixed, like
Yes. Mm-hmm.
2 3 sources of oil, and I think 2 days ago I just saw a reel where a doctor was losing his, because you know uh, uh, one of his people complained that they were having issues in terms of skin allergy and everything. And when they
Wow.
really looked at it, they found out that a restaurant near their house, they were mixing three different types of oil to make food.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's like, oil is a very big conversation right now in India,
Mm.
because here we use clarified butter. um, it's called ghee. So it's
Mm-hmm.
clarified butter, which we use instead of oil, because people say it has a lot of benefits and etc. But yeah, that's what I just wanted to ask about, rice bran oil.
Yeah,
So
that hasn't been a huge thing. As far as I'm concerned, I have not really been exposed to rice bran oil before.
mhm. So, what is your opinion on, let's say, this fast food healthy joints? Like
Mm.
those Shake Shacks, and I don't want to name a lot of these companies, but who advertise healthy meal, but on a fast food level.
Those can get sticky
Uh
because
huh.
again, it's being fast food. You don't really know what's really regulated, and even in the types of oil that they're using, if they do use oil, right?
Yeah.
So, and we don't even know the type of meat that they're using, and where is it coming from? What's the source? And what is truly healthy in fast food? Does that even, that seems like an oxymoron? Like it doesn't really combine well to have healthy food that's fast. Usually healthy food is cooked at home, and it
Mm-hmm.
is made with you and your time, and it doesn't revolve anything instant. So my
Yeah.
opinion to that is people just need to be well aware of their choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say stay away if you have risk of heart disease, if you have risk of diabetes, or if you have those things already. I would just cut those things off in general. And I think it's misleading. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's truly, truly misleading. Healthy fast food is not truly healthy.
Okay. So, like just let's say revolving on the same topic, what do you think about pre-made like meals?
Same. I think pre-made meals. No, I mean, there's a difference. Pre-made meals, like there are places here that are home cooked. I would say home cooked, like Filipino cooking. I would go
Mm-hmm.
to a Filipino restaurant and it's Filipino cooking for you, and that's technically almost like a home cooked meal, pre-made. But the pre-made process that's in a box that you get, um, it's microwavable. Those
Yeah.
are not healthy because they have all the preservatives. They have high salt content. Even sometimes it's about over 1,000,
Mm-hmm.
for salt alone, just because they need to preserve it and have a longer shelf life, and
Mm-hmm.
also for it to be tasty. So no, I don't think those are healthy at all.
Got it. So, like, so my, let's say, next point of view is, let's say someone is cheap as hell, they're almost broke. What would be, let's say, the cheapest way of making sure they consume, let's say, a balanced nutrition?
Hmm. So for balanced nutrition, and this is a quick move that a lot of people utilize here in the US. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look at your hand and you
Yeah.
open your hand and you look at the size of your hand,
Mm-hmm.
that is the amount of vegetables you should have on your plate. The size of your hand should be the amount of vegetables you should have on your plate. The second thing is, I know just like Filipinos, we love rice. So
Mm-hmm.
rice is a big staple in our country. We eat it three
Yes.
times a day:
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes even snacks, mid meals.
Yes.
I would make a fist or a
Uh-huh.
cup size using your hand, and that
Uh-huh.
would be the amount of rice you should have in your meal.
Okay.
No more than that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the amount of meat for your protein.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you open your hand and you look at the size of your palm,
Mm-hmm.
that should be the size of the protein.
Got it.
And then if you have anything that's oily, so usually that's hard one for India and the Philippines because a lot of our food is drenched in oil. I would eliminate oil, but
Mm-hmm.
I would also try to keep the oil the amount of the size of your thumb. So here I would say if I talk to a client who I'm working with, for example, and I would say if you're having a salad,
Mm-hmm.
a green leafy veggie salad, the amount of oil that you would get, or salad dressing, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the oil, is the size of your thumb. I would not make the serving size bigger than your thumb. So that is an easy way, a practical step for
Mm-hmm.
anybody to have a well balanced meal. So if you look at it, which one do you have the most? The protein, the carbohydrates, or the fats? It's
Mm-hmm.
really the vegetables, which is a source of carbohydrate, but it's fiber, which is
Yeah.
it's unrefined, so it's better for you.
Yes.
So that is the biggest key, is to have more vegetables, and then have your protein. I would eat your vegetables, your protein, and your carbohydrates last.
Got it. So, I am really interested about food, but not in terms of nutrition, but the way we are growing food. I'm very interested about the way we farm, and what we put into the soil and all these things. So, because I'm also living in a concrete jungle. So I live in a city called as Bangalore,
Hmm.
which is the Silicon Valley of India.
Oh wow.
So it's like it is a metropolitan developed city. So here, many of my colleagues and friends complain, okay, I cannot have organic vegetables, or fruits, and all these sort of complaints, let's they come up with. So my suggestion to them, what I usually say is, just grow microgreens within your home,
Hmm.
right? Like spinach, and like there are many. I don't want to create a list, but there are multiple microgreens that you could grow and harvest within 7 to 10 days, so that if you plan really well, you are able to have at least 8 to 10 meals of pure green that has been grown by you, and you have made sure not to put in any chemicals or any sort of fertilizers or pesticide.
Right.
So you are getting good food. So what is your opinion on these microgreens now?
That's funny because my husband and I, last year we started growing our own vegetables. So I think on the topic of growing your own vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
growing these things in your own backyard that you can regulate yourself, I think that's the best choice. Especially if
Mm-hmm.
you say you're on a budget and you can't afford certain things, or you want
Yeah.
to budget properly and you want to eat healthy, then if you have the ability and saved money to make your own little garden, your own little vegetable garden, and doing these microgreens, then do it. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that's stopping you, do
Yeah.
it. Because in this day and age, we don't know exactly what the type of soil, the pesticides, the real sources that our vegetables are coming from. But if you do
Mm-hmm.
it on your own, you know, and you can be
Yes.
even more particular of the type of soil and what you are able to feed the plant,
Mm-hmm.
and regulate even, what you want to have, what do you want to grow. So yeah, I think it's a great thing to do, and I think people should start doing it more.
Mm-hmm. So you just said something about the soil, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm extremely passionate about it, I just want to share a small story. Recently I took one of my relatives to get their blood work done in a hospital. So I was just waiting for the lab results, and I was just sitting there, and I saw a banner advertising multiple testings in humans, right? So
Wow.
the let's say the chemicals that they were trying to test for, it contained lead, acid, boron, and another 3 4 chemicals that I know that we usually we usually do those tests on soil, to understand whether the soil is healthy or not.
Hmm.
So we used to do these kind of tests in a laboratory for a soil, now we are doing that on humans. So I
Wow.
was really surprised. So when the lab technician came to give me the results, I just asked him, okay, like, do you do this test? And he said, yeah, of course, people are really curious and they get tested, right? So I asked, let's say, out of 10 people, how many people do you think show abnormal levels of these chemicals, right? So my question is, could you guess a number, between 0 and 10, how many people are showing abnormal levels of these chemicals?
Oh goodness. Um, 1 to 10, you said? How
Yeah.
many levels?
No, out of 10 people, how
Out
many
of 10
people do you
people?
think are showing abnormal results?
Gosh, I'm just gonna guess. Okay, I'm not
Hmm.
exactly sure, but 7 out of 10.
Yes, you're exactly correct. You're exactly right.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, he said, 7 out of 10 people usually show abnormal levels of these chemicals
Wow.
in their body.
Wow. Gosh. That just
Yeah.
that just says a lot about the food that we eat and the toxicity and what people are carrying, and we don't know about that.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I see that United States farming is largely controlled by big corporations and all these things, all this, it's a money making machines.
Yes.
And they use chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers to make more money, let's say, right? But in India, people have this thought, like, because majority of India are small farmers, we don't have large corporations who do agriculture here.
Mhm.
They feel like, like, they don't use chemicals.
Hmm.
But when you really look at it, because the farmer is and he does not know enough, let's say, enough about chemicals.
Mhm.
So he is going to put out uh, you know to soil anything that is new in the market. It's like taking a kid to a toy store. He will
Mm.
want the most shiniest toy out there. It's like, the chemical with 10 times harvest. They're just going to put it there. They're not going to ask questions here.
Hmm.
So do you think,
Wow.
like, you being a nutritionist, and let's say a general, like, a citizen, um, do you find it difficult to understand what is going on in within the food that we're consuming?
That's a good question. I think the general population does find it difficult because they're not being educated on how to find that. I think
Mm-hmm.
the general population, even for myself, I will just consider myself as part of the general population. You can
Mm-hmm.
find ingredients on the label itself.
Yeah.
However, if you really want to dig deeper, then you do
Mm-hmm.
have to go and research more about the ingredients that are on there that you have no idea what it's about.
Yes.
Like, for example, even the sugar sweeteners, some people have no idea that
Mm-hmm.
a sugar label that's asulfame, that's
Mm-hmm.
actually going to be a sugar sweetener that causes things such as um, celiac disease. And the more they
Mm-hmm.
consume it, you have more risk for celiac disease and irritable bowel syndrome and all these other things. And same
Mm-hmm.
thing with the fruits. We don't know, or vegetables, we don't know what the pesticide is that they're using for these things, for the fruits and vegetables, because we just pick them off the shelf. So,
Yeah.
because we don't want to do the hard part, which is educating. Is it hard to get to get the information? I think it's not anymore, because it's pretty much, you can find it online. It's
Yeah.
just taking the time and
Mm-hmm.
educating yourself for doing it. Again, the
Yeah.
general population just does not want to listen and take the time to search for themselves, because we're being fed so much from social media and mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we should do is we should think outside the box. We should first analyze, where are we,
Mm-hmm.
and where are we in our health, and what do we want in the future for our health, maybe even next year, making a goal as to what do you want to do. Lower your blood cholesterol, lower the toxicities, lower your blood sugar. Make a goal, and then start setting checkpoints. So maybe it is to start learning what's on the nutrition label, so you are understanding the ingredients. Maybe it is
Mm-hmm.
understanding, educating yourself as to what's the difference between organic and not organic. How does that affect the food? How does that, because even the ones that are not organic, they look different than the
Yes.
organic vegetables. They're bigger, they're
Yeah.
shinier, they look better, but not necessarily healthier. So
Mm-hmm.
educating, and then making goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. And eventually you won't become just a regular person in the general population. You'll be an educated, more well-rounded person in the general population. So you may look like everyone else, but you have more knowledge base.
Got it. So, my 2 cents on that is, I really hope that, people who are listening to us, guys, just go on Google, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just search for what types of chemicals or what kind of treatments do we give to mangoes, bananas,
Yes.
like this, let's say normal fruits. And if people really understand what goes into, producing perfect looking mangoes and bananas, right? I think they won't ever consume another banana in life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when I was in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
I saw bananas and chickens, even
Mm-hmm.
chickens, they're
Yeah, yeah.
smaller. And I used to say, oh man, this is not a good chicken. They're smaller. And then I
Yeah.
come back home to the States because even though I was born in the Philippines, the US is where I grew up. So I consider this
Mm-hmm.
home. I come back here and the food is huge. And then I
Mm-hmm.
say, this is real food. But then the
Yeah.
more that I got educated, my eyes opened
Mm-hmm.
that I'm actually blinded, that
Yeah.
real food was what I was eating on the island. Real
Yeah.
food was the things that my grandmother was feeding me because it was grown in our vegetable garden in the backyard in the Philippines. We had
Yeah.
chickens living off of the land. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it wasn't from a place that we don't know where it came from. We were feeding it
Yes.
all natural things.
Yeah.
So that, and the chicken wasn't big and fat. It was
Yeah.
lean, it was chicken.
Yes,
But
correct.
I agree with you. I think you just really need to educate, and we have the resources at the tip of our fingers.
Yeah. And also, what is your opinion on stevia? Have you heard of stevia?
Yeah, so there's good and bad things on stevia. I would say there's as a general whole, it's not natural. So
Yeah.
if there is an individual that has risk for certain diseases, then don't take
Mm-hmm.
it. But
Yeah.
if there's an individual that has, for example, diabetes, and they
Mm-hmm.
can't take regular sugar, and you're not
Yeah.
allergic to these sugar substitutes, stevia is probably the best, or erythritol is probably one of the things that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's also one that's monk fruit. I believe monk
Yeah.
fruit is a better choice among the three,
Yeah.
because if you want to stay to the most natural form rather than things that are extracted from something
Mm-hmm.
and made it different into than what it was originally made supposed to be. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's a give or take, but
Yeah.
overall, anything that is extracted and made into something else for
Mm-hmm.
our body to use has a risk for causing disease.
Yeah,
So
I think stevia also causes hormone disruption in
mhm.
certain individuals.
Yeah.
um, because in India that's a big thing now, because there was a surge of companies selling stevia.
Hmm.
Now here the gym trainers and the nutritionist and the general food people, now they have started to say, please don't consume stevia, you know just don't consume sugar at all. And if you want
Hmm.
to consume it, just consume something natural rather than a processed sugar, just like you said.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's the general attitude right now in India.
Yeah, anything that is not man-made. I feel like I was having a discussion with one of our friends yesterday. We were talking about diet. And I had mentioned to them, the way that Jesus ate, there was no processed a lot of things. Everything was just
Yes.
natural.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no diet that's the Jesus diet. But
Yeah.
if we go back to the root of things, it's all natural food.
Yes.
And that's basically the way that we should live and eat, is just going back to the roots, going back to the natural
Correct.
process.
Yeah.
Because even with the hormones, the way that it was changed. The bioengineered ingredients or genetically modified organisms, it's
Mm-hmm.
rampant. It's everywhere. It's global. So,
Yes.
and the main reason for them using GMO or biogenetically engineered was to make food stay longer, was to
Yeah.
make food taste quote unquote better,
Uh-huh.
but also to have the shiny object, like the
Yes,
tomatoes look
correct.
redder, and it's not better for us. But
Yeah.
I think the main basis is in health is go
Mm-hmm.
back to all natural.
Yeah. Yeah, so coming to the next point, I think you are correct in terms of food. The way we are consuming right now is not probably sustainable in the long term, and we need to hopefully change it very soon, because we need to, because if you want to survive and expect good quality of life, we have to
Mm-hmm.
consume good food. But I also wanted to discuss a little bit about what you were interested in, that was postpartum depression.
Mm.
um, I think that's a subject I think you're passionate about, and I think that's a subject that people here really are not aware of. So could you help us understand that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm actually curious now to see the rate of postpartum depression in India. That's really interesting because here
Mm-hmm.
in the US it's being talked about more often because mental
Mm-hmm.
health is now being it's not taboo. Whereas years
Mm-hmm.
ago if someone said they're depressed, it's
Mm-hmm.
not talked about because oh that's
Yeah.
that's just different, it's weird, no one can really be like that. It was taboo. But now that mental health is a thing, especially post COVID,
Mm-hmm.
postpartum depression is now being talked about more. So, for the
Okay.
women who are listening, if you are a mom and you are pregnant right now and you're feeling different about your baby. For example, when I was pregnant, I used to dream that I would stab my daughter in the womb and kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pregnant and I would think I would get scared. I didn't know that these were signs of postpartum depression. I thought I
Yeah.
was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And some women may not have these thoughts or feelings, but
Mm-hmm.
when they are a mom and they've delivered their baby
Yeah.
and they don't have any sleep, that is the biggest risk for postpartum depression is they don't have any sleep, you're tired all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
especially in Asian culture, sometimes you feel like you have to do things on your own. But I don't know what
Yes.
it's like in India, but that's in the Philippines, we weren't really allowed to show a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
We had to be strong because I'm the mom. I have to do this. But we
Got it.
weren't, it was hard to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're feeling, and I was feeling this way, that I was trying to be super mom, I had to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wore myself down mentally, emotionally, physically, and I got to the point where I felt like I had to give up my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on top of that, I didn't have an attachment to my baby. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like she was my baby. And when a mom feels like that's not really hers or she doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
to spend time with the baby, she doesn't
Yeah.
really she shows some affection, but in the midst of it, she just doesn't feel that connection, then
Mm-hmm.
there's something wrong.
Got it.
And some women, they suffer in silence and they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about those things.
Okay. So a quick Google search says that about 22% of mothers in India suffer from postpartum depression.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cultural thing that even in Asia we don't talk about. I mean, in the Philippines we don't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
But because in the US, like I said, mental health is becoming more popular. It's
Mm-hmm.
slowly becoming popular in the Philippines. Now people are talking about it. And a lot of moms, they suffer in silence and then they get looked down, they feel the shame, they feel guilty because they don't understand what's going on. But there's also
Mm-hmm.
a nutritional component to that. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a physiological component in the body because your
Yeah.
hormones just drop immediately because you are now learning to feed yourself, because when you were
Yes.
pregnant you were feeding yourself and the baby. Essentially the
Yeah.
baby was taking more of your nutrients. So then
Correct.
after you deliver, now you're trying to get yourself back into balance, and then your body doesn't know how to react, so you go
Mm-hmm.
through the emotional highs and lows.
Mhm.
And throw on top of that being exhausted physically, trying to stay awake, feed the baby, breastfeed the baby, change the baby.
Mhm.
So when I was in just 3 months after delivering my baby,
Mhm.
I had taken my medication and I overdosed on my opioid medication because I had a
Mhm.
C-section. And I also overdosed on my depression medication because I was also given that in case of I felt a certain, because my doctor had said, well, here, I had a really traumatic delivery, so I was at
Mhm.
risk. So she gave me that medication. And I finally decided I'm just going to end it. I'm not a good mom. I don't know. I don't even feel like I'm a mom. I don't even feel like she's my daughter. I don't even feel like I can take care of the house.
Mhm.
And I took the medication in front of my daughter and my husband.
Okay. So, yeah, because I don't know. I don't because it's really, like weird when it comes to PPD, right? Because there is also some level of genetics involved, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and as you said, it's about sleep cycle and nutrition. Do you think that, like vitamins and, vitamins like B6 have any involvement in it?
The energy, vitamin B and B6 also helps with mood regulation and also
Yeah,
producing red blood cells, which is needed because you just removed a whole bunch of blood when after you
correct.
deliver. So it can definitely help. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the biggest foundation is how was your nutrition prior to getting pregnant and
Mm-hmm.
during pregnancy, which would
Correct.
also help when you are after delivery, which would also help you um, recover better. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're eating unhealthily during pregnancy, then you're not setting yourself up for success after. If you're not giving yourself the right vitamins, the right nutrients, even exercising, those are huge factors for even maintaining good mental health when you are in these periods, pregnancy and post pregnancy. So
Mm-hmm.
someone can take vitamin B6 and it can help them.
Yeah.
Someone can take a multivitamin. You should be taking a multivitamin post pregnancy as well because you need
Mm-hmm.
to replenish yourself. So,
Yes.
yes, I believe that those could definitely help a woman after pregnancy.
So, what would you say would be, one of the most important things to prevent, PPD?
One, I feel from given from my experience to prevent it, if you have a traumatic history. So I was also a victim of childhood trauma. So that was already a risk factor for postpartum depression. But if you deal with it and have gone through therapy and have healing from the past, then you will have less of a risk for postpartum depression. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I had a lot of things that I needed to work through, a lot of fear that I needed to work through, and that
Mm-hmm.
was showing up in my dreams when I was pregnant. I even thought I wasn't going to be a good mom anyway when I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I needed to work through that. So one, for the women who are out there listening, to lower the risk of postpartum depression, if you are going through something right now that's causing you lack of sleep, try to have better sleep while you are pregnant. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, if you have gone through a traumatic past or are going through a traumatic present, I
Mm-hmm.
say find someone that can help you deal with that. Maybe if you are a Christian, find a pastor. If you have a friend or a mentor, a trusted loved one, find someone that can give you the support to work through that. If you can
Mm-hmm.
find a therapist, that would be a huge help to walk through this whole season with you.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go at it alone. So, traumatic past, present trauma, or present depression that you may be working through. Number three is working through your nutrition and eating well, getting
Mm-hmm.
the right. I mentioned sleep earlier, but even getting exercise.
Yeah.
So sleep, nutrition, exercise, great things. It's absolutely necessary even when you're not pregnant. So all the
Mm-hmm.
more when you are. So eating a well balanced meal, of course, but getting the right nutrients, getting extra
Mm-hmm.
iron because you are needing that. You need the
Yeah.
iron, you need the folate, making sure you get green leafy vegetables. And then remove the refined foods. Don't, even
Hmm.
if you have a craving for something, don't go towards the fast food, because remember, you're also affecting the genetics of your child, of your baby,
Yes.
and that's healthy. That's really important, because you are also setting your baby up for success when you're
Hmm.
taking care of yourself. And exercise. I used to walk and run as well during pregnancy, and lift weights when I was pregnant. So I used to
Hmm.
work out. So I didn't have high blood pressure, I didn't have high cholesterol or high blood sugar. So I did that, but that's also necessary. Again, just watch what you're doing so that you don't cause any bleeding. Be very mindful of that. But it's healthy even with just small weights, dumbbells, nothing too strenuous. But getting a walk or cardio, if you can run, that
Hmm.
would also help keep the mood regulation in balance, in check.
So, do you think, staying mentally fit in terms of, having positive attitude and working towards a certain, like set point or a goal also helps towards, preventing PPD?
I really do. Number one, if you are a Christian, your faith in God will definitely help you the most. I had a family of believers of church, from church, that helped me during during and after my pregnancy and after my suicide attempt. So,
Hmm.
but if you are doing something for your mental health before pregnancy, and
Hmm.
you are strengthening your faith in God, or you are even doing um, grounding techniques, or helping you understand how to deal with anxiety and stress, and you become stronger, and that
Hmm.
helps with mental health resilience, then yes, I truly believe you're going to set yourself up for success and decrease the risk of postpartum depression. Because people that usually go through these things are those who don't know how to balance the stress of becoming a new mom. And then on
Hmm.
top of everything else, that just makes it worse.
Got it. So, my 2 cents on that would be, um, of course, because you are a Christian, you understand the culture of, Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my thing would be like, it doesn't matter whether you're a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whatever your religion is, but staying true to your own culture and religion, I
Mm-hmm.
think leads to a stronger morals and, hopefully a better mentality
Mm-hmm.
towards life, and these kind of, let's say, negative attitude that, people, uh, now, have to fight with on a regular basis, because of course, just being pregnant is like the most stressful event a person could have. But uh, what I have studied on PPD, I've understood that, many women who are working, right, and they become pregnant, and then, let's say, few companies don't offer, maternity leave, so they may have to quit the job, and all of a sudden there is this financial instability within the household, where they are put under more stress from the like all these multiple factors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely what you said is true, that staying true to your culture and religion, and your identity helps.
Yes. So in terms of culture, um,
Hmm.
my mom was a huge help in being next to me, helping me, taking care of my daughter. Um, it's a family. It's a family. It's a family thing. And I feel like um, if you do have family, and if culturally it is healthy for you to be surrounded by the women to help you during this time,
Hmm.
accept it, accept the help. Because
Okay.
yeah, some people shy away from that, but I
Hmm.
know there are many cultures where, I think in Japan, the
Hmm.
mom gets to stay home. They actually have good pregnancy leave. They have that. They can stay home with their child a lot longer postpartum.
Hmm.
But they also have family to help them to raise the child, especially during the first few months. I think that's also healthy and will help reduce the risk of PPD.
Yeah. So yeah, my question is related to that. Do you think women in nuclear family have a higher risk of PPD?
In a nuclear family, if they have a higher
Yeah.
risk,
Yes.
um, no,
Because they might lack that kind of support that you just mentioned. That might not be available in a nuclear family, right?
I think it I think it a mother or a father, so nuclear families having both parents and their children
Yes.
in one household, right? But if
Correct.
there's a mother and a father that's working well together,
Mm-hmm.
then it should help. But the risk for PPD would go up if the father isn't helping, because I mean my
Yes.
husband was there and he was helping
Mm-hmm.
me throughout this whole process, and he
Yeah.
was also very supportive in therapy, getting the help that I need,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how to handle it myself. I wasn't strong. But I
Got
think
it.
it would help if the father knew his role and his part. It would decrease the risk, not so much increase the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it would be more helpful if the husband also educated himself of what PPD looks like. They usually call it baby blues, but
Yes. Correct.
it's really postpartum depression. So if the
Yeah.
husband knew what this thing is called and what it does to the wife and to the mom, then
Mm-hmm.
he can become a good support system and decrease postpartum depression.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you're saying is, more than true, because there have been multiple studies where they found that, in the households where there was more stress and domestic violence,
Hmm.
women tend to, face PPD at a very severely high rate, actually.
Yes. So when I was hospitalized in the mental hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
I spoke. I knew I wasn't. I knew I needed help, and I needed to
Mm-hmm.
be there because of the consequences of my actions. But I knew that there was something different about myself that the nurse even pointed out, and she said, "Look, I think you're fine." She said, "You just need to get sleep. You need to get rest." Because she talked to me about my support system, my husband. And quite honestly, my husband has never, I'm just really grateful that the husband
Mm-hmm.
that I have has been so loving and so supportive. And that was a big key towards recovery. So the nurse, when she pointed all these things out, she said, you're going to be fine, because a lot of the people that do come in that
Mm-hmm.
are in the mental hospital, may it be
Yeah.
postpartum depression or something else, they come from a very traumatic background in
Mm-hmm.
the family. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the mom is
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of situation where the
Yeah.
husband is abusive, verbally, even verbally abusive,
Yeah.
emotionally abusive, then that's where you need to set boundaries, protect yourself and your child. And
Yeah.
I think, if counseling is available, get counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to strengthen yourself and remove, if possible, remove from yourself that situation where if you are being verbally abused or physically abused, you may
Yeah.
need to get away. It's going to be
Yeah.
healthy.
I think that's the best solution, right? Just to get away.
Yeah.
Because there are enough support systems and social nets that governments of all countries have created, to make sure that women especially don't fall through cracks, right? I
Right.
don't know how that social net is working in the United States, but in India it's more of a community thing rather than a governmental policy.
Hmm.
So yeah, I want to ask you one more question, that when I was looking at PPD, there was an interesting study that I came across. So this was research done by University of Kent, okay, in England,
Hmm.
where they said that women who give birth to baby boys, okay, especially that is male, let's say sons, right?
Hmm.
They have up to 79% of chance of developing PPD.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they are saying that,
It's higher
you
in
know,
males than females.
yeah, so there is a definite link between, sex of the baby and, PPD.
Interesting. I'm not exactly sure why that is. May I have no idea, and I probably should do more research on that.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a general sense, though, I mean that is really interesting. Just in a general sense, though, I mean, postpartum depression can still hit anybody, even if it's a male or female, you
Yes,
know.
of course.
But that is interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, even I did not understand, and even the scientists are somewhat fascinated by it, because they're like, how does this work?
Yeah, what
And
is the connection?
yeah, and they finally said, we probably don't know. You
Yeah,
know,
indefinite. We have no idea.
yeah, they're like, we understand that there is a link, but we don't know why.
Hmm, that is interesting.
It's like they invented a problem now.
Oh goodness, now it's
Yeah.
it's even more complicated than it already is. So let's make it.
Yes.
Oh goodness, I think so.
Yeah.
That's an interesting fact, but
Mm-hmm.
I think for someone who is going through some situation and then they find out, they have a son. I think
Mm-hmm.
what I would like for the women to understand that your baby is a gift and it's a
Yeah.
blessing. So no matter what, so this postpartum depression is just a part of your story. If you are
Yes.
going through it, and if you have gone through it like myself, it's going to be a part of your story. And these
Mm-hmm.
researches, it's all interesting, and it can help
Yeah.
in the future. But you need to take hold of what your situation is now, do the things
Correct.
that are necessary. And I hope and I pray that you or whoever, if this is just helping out one person,
Yeah.
I hope that you never go down the path that I took. I hope you
Yeah.
never do what I did.
I agree. Even if this helps one woman out there, I think it's time well spent, and I would definitely be proud of myself.
And thank you, yes, for allowing this topic to be spoken of, because you said it's not really a topic that is, um, maybe people aren't really talking about this in even, um, in India, because it's not a,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's not a big thing. Maybe it
No,
is
I
a big
think
thing.
I think the issue here is people don't recognize that, they don't understand that this is an issue. Like,
uh,
because they don't understand that this is an illness that can be treated, right?
right.
Because pregnant women, and even after postpartum, women are known to have mood swings, right? But as
Yes.
you said, baby blues. But it's taken for granted, right? Okay, she's having her mood swings, she's cranky again, she's having bad thoughts, it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this conversation might somewhere help at least few people, in understanding what is PPD, and how can they help their um, you know women in the society with, be it their friend, family, whoever it is. I hope that if the if my audience has made it through this long in the episode, I just hope that you are able to get this message across to those people who are decision makers in your home, or decision maker in the society,
Mm-hmm.
because this is an issue that we need to address. Because a good mom is it plays far more important role than a good school.
Mm.
Because cultures and values are something that is homemade and tailor made to each and every kid. And both father and mother play, let's say, an equal role in it. And having like a disturbed mother, or a mother who is going through her own issues, does not definitely benefit the kid, nor it does it to the mother.
Right.
Yeah, so I hope people who are listening take it up. Just all I suggest is, guys, just get a hold of a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. Just discuss this topic. Just talk about it, right? You don't have to make any decisions, you don't have to be critical about it or whatever. Just discuss about it. I think that will start a chain where people are aware of it, more and more. Because even in even in my city, we have multiple NGOs, who give like free treatment and rehabilitation to people who are suffering from mental issues.
Mm.
But for them to be successful, people have to understand that this is an issue at the at the first place, that is their home.
Yes, and you mentioned a good mom above society, above
Yeah.
school and all of that. A
Yeah.
good mom is a mom that is present with their child and
Yes.
will fight for reaching out for help
Yes,
and
correct.
getting getting the support that they need. And you are a good mom. You're taking care of your child. You're doing the best that you can.
Yes.
So you just being there and helping your baby
Mm-hmm.
thrive, you're a
Yeah.
good mom. That's a good mom, just being
Yeah.
present with your child.
See, this is one of those things that I absolutely hate radical feminists for, because they condemn, having kids, because they see it as something, that is, beneath them. uh,
Yes.
and
Oh,
I'm like, do you dude, like, you do not have absolute, like, even let's say of 0.1% of idea, you know the kind of stress and the kind of happiness, it's like a, roller coaster, right?
yes.
Having a kid, be it a father or a mother, but mother gets to enjoy it the most because she is at the forefront of it, you know but like that's what I hate about radical feminists, because they say, like, having kid is, something that's beneath women. I think,
Mm,
being able to create another life is the greatest gift that any organism can, receive,
mm-hmm. Can
be it
do.
human or
Mm-hmm.
animal.
Yeah.
Being able to create life, like, out of thin air, like, of course there is science behind it, but it is, like something like a miracle, right?
Mm,
Because, we are, women and, mothers are able to create life and nurture it out of nothing.
mm. That is true. And I will tell you, when I finally understood the love that I have for my daughter, it's there. If
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you don't have that connection to your child, it's there.
Yeah.
It's just being masked by what you're going through with the hormones and emotions and outside stressors. But that is a
Yeah.
the greatest gift that you can ever feel. And I truly resonates that it's a miracle
Yeah.
to be able to see something that is birthed outside of your body to
Yeah.
also live and then create their own
Mm-hmm.
life. It's a
Yeah.
miracle within itself. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I just want to say that they don't understand the depth and the beauty of motherhood
Yes.
because there's a lot of pride in that and a lot of
Uh-huh.
other things. But I
Yeah.
will say that if you are a mom, you are needed in society, and your child needs you.
Yes. I think I think this is one of the reasons why I will never have woke people in my on my podcast. I am very clear about it. You know, yeah, I am willing to die on this hill. Defending this point. I will never have woke people
Oh,
in
that is
my
so
podcast
funny.
ever.
My husband would love you. He would love you,
Yeah,
Ganesh.
I think most of people would love me. Because, yeah, truly, I will never have radical people on my podcast ever. Because of these reasons, because they are going after the most sacred fabric of society, that is family.
I know.
Because I really get irritated, because one of the women I saw other day, I just wanted to debate her and just, beat her out. She said that being employed was a greater pleasure than having a kid. I'm like, dude, you do
Oh
not have
my
an absolute,
goodness.
shit of an idea that what you're talking about. It's
They're
like, yeah, I mean, of course, like, in just like every other country, even in India, you're protected by freedom of speech. But, sometimes I really want to just say to their face, like, I think you don't know what you're speaking about.
mm-mm, no.
Because you working at an average job, you know and, ironically, you claim that you're free, but you are part of the biggest slave system that has ever
Lie.
existed,
Yes.
the corporate. And you dare to say that being free and, being a mother is beneath you being a slave of a corporate machine, that will throw you out, and they will, lay you off, even at the first signal of stress or economic depression. And that is
Mm-hmm.
what we are seeing now, because I am seeing a lot of women and even men cry in Reddit and all this different social media, saying, I got laid off. Oh my god, I thought this job was it. This was my religion. Now I
Mm-hmm.
don't have anything to, you know essentially their life is just taken from them.
Mm.
I'm like, so you are saying that is greater than being a mother? Like, I think you can back me up on this, you being a mother. um like, would you like to work as a clerical in a clerical or an administrative job, or be a mother? Which one
You
would you
know,
choose?
Ganesh, I gave up being a doctor so that I could
Yeah.
take care of my daughter, because I was faced to go and pursue my career as a
Yeah.
medical doctor, but I was in a hospital, and this is the part that I did not state. I was working
Mm-hmm.
in the hospital, and they said just because you are pregnant does not
Mm-hmm.
mean you cannot go and see COVID patients. Well,
Okay.
at the time there was so much news about people who were pregnant and they were high risk of getting COVID and losing their
Uh-huh.
baby.
Okay.
I sacrificed
S-
my career so I can make
uh-huh.
sure my daughter is alive today and that
So
she's
did
healthy.
did you sue them then?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not sue them because
Uh-huh.
they did say you
Mm-hmm.
either have a choice of working or not working, but we will not support you if you are going to work
Yeah.
and you're not going to see COVID patients.
Yeah, but don't you think that's like biased judgment?
It was, and I don't have the heart to sue. I don't have the
Mikhail, I,
heart
I
to
I want
pity.
to remind you that you live in the land of suing each other.
I do. I
You know.
know. I do. I know, but I come from a different mindset that
Yeah, I mean, you might be Filipino, but you need to understand that people over in
I know
the
Filipinos sue
country.
people too.
Yeah, but not to the extent of United States.
I
You
know, I
know.
know. And I think, Ganesh, that's where my faith in God lies in, that He will take
Mm-hmm.
care of me and that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So that if, at the time it was so crazy, I focused on my daughter. So I do, my
Yeah.
first point is the person who put work above
Mm-hmm.
being a mom, I just
Yeah.
want to say, I'm sorry, but I hope, I hope you, shame on you. But I
Yeah.
really hope that you would find in your heart that your mom gave birth to you and sacrificed their life for you so that you're alive today.
Yeah.
Whoever gave birth to you had to
Yes.
go through the whole entire process so you could be
Yes.
living, breathing, and even working your job.
And
So
there is no easy way out of it.
there's no easy way out of it. No.
Yeah, and
And
and probably their mothers had to endure more pain than they will because of
yeah,
the modern medicine system.
exactly. My mom, yeah, she didn't have an epidural. But
Yeah.
I will say, secondly, to the point that
Mm-hmm.
the god-given ability for you to reproduce as a female is
Mm-hmm.
not, and I'm probably taking this into another work woke topic, is
Uh-huh.
not for anybody who is a man and feels like they're a woman and they can be
Yeah.
a woman and live the role as a woman or a mom. No, there's
Yeah.
a difference. The way that
Uh,
my
uh-huh.
husband loves and nourishes and cares my daughter is different the way that I do, because he is a
Mm-hmm.
father. And my
Yeah.
daughter recognizes that. In verbally,
Mm-hmm.
she does not say it, she does not
Mm-hmm.
express it, but I know that the love of a father is
Mm-hmm.
different from a love of a mother. And
Yeah.
so
You know
a
what? I
mom
think. I
cannot be
think.
replaced.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I think there should be a test, right? Anyone who says I am her, I am she, right? So those machines that you know uh, inject pain, and in I don't know the machine's name. It just helps you experience the pain of labor, right? Have you seen those
Yeah,
machines?
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, yeah. So I asked them to wear it for 9 months. Okay. And go through the same pain cycle that a woman has to go. Okay. And after 9 months we'll decide whether that guy is still he or she.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I mean, you would very quickly figure out.
We know who's a he and we know who's a she.
Oh yeah, because like, I have studied biology and I've talked to many people about this issue, because I also appear on many podcasts. you know that the kind of tolerance to pain that biological women have, men do not have it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make them wear the machine, you know just go through 9 months of pain,
I'm sure
please.
my husband didn't want to wear that, would not want to wear that
Oh
machine.
yeah, I mean, I have seen hulk of like characters and personalities just give up and cry and
Yeah.
sob for hours after they they went through, I think 25% of the pain.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because I think there is a law in many countries that those machines cannot inject more than 25%
Oh,
of pain, because then it becomes it's considered as I think it's illegal.
oh my goodness. Well,
Yeah,
then.
yeah, so
Well,
it's just
then.
25% and they're tapping out.
Yeah, see?
So let them feel 100%, then yeah, they can be women, why not?
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your choice. Whatever you want to say, but the reality is this is
Yes.
reality. A
Yeah.
woman, you cannot replace who I am as a woman because I am genetically made to make a baby and a man is
Yes.
not genetically made to make a baby.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that's the most ridiculous thing that I have heard from United States in a while, that that a guy competed in a women's swimming competition,
yep,
I think,
yep.
and he just beat everyone. Yeah, I think this issue also happened in mix MMA, UFC.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous, because see, because a man will have all advantage over a woman in physical sport, and there is no advantage for a woman to be in a let's say in men's division. It's
Mhm.
like it's a so we started out with saying equality,
Mhm.
right? Now we are saying it's just open game for everyone,
Yeah.
anyone can be anyone.
Then it's yeah. They've lost the whole concept from the very beginning, and they've just made
Yeah.
it. I don't know. Again, I'm sorry about our country.
Okay, did you see this, that there is a LGBT community forum on Reddit? So one of the guys just went in there to cause mayhem. He said that if the B in LGBT stands for bisexual, doesn't that mean there is only two genders, and he got banned.
Oh, boom! That's a mic drop situation there.
Yeah, he got permanently banned.
Oh,
And
goodness.
he was like, yeah, look at this now.
Oh, goodness.
Because yeah, I think that is a really sad situation that your country has to go through, I think. Hopefully it never comes to my country.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's already there in the Philippines. So
Hmm.
good luck, Ganesh. Good luck.
uh yeah, I think Indians are a little bit intolerant in terms of these kind of things, that is, by playing roles and gender roles and all these things. Here it would not go down.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that in our audience learned something from you, um, throughout this episode, because it was really enlightening for us, because a lot of men lack this knowledge of like PPD and like this issues that are overlooked in society. And also, coming from a person like you, who has knowledge of medicine and nutrition at the same time, I think there would not be a better person or better qualified person than you to talk about this. So thank you very much for being on the show and helping us understand these issues.
Ganesh, thank you. I also appreciate the time and opportunity to share my story and be able to impact at least one life out there listening to this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that is what I also truly want. I just want to impact one person, and if that one person says, I learned something from this, I think it's a time well spent and well invested.
Mm.
So guys, this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for hanging on for so long. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us, and you will find all the details below. And Mikhail, if people want to reach you, how could they reach you?
Yeah, so if they want to reach us, our website is isifit2717.com. You can
Mhm.
email us, subscribe to our newsletter, or you can go to all the social media platforms except for TikTok. We also we
Hmm.
took ourselves off of TikTok for many reasons, but Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, we are there.
Hmm.
Just look at Iron Sharpens Iron Fitness.
Got it. I think TikTok won't be an issue here because in India anyway it's banned. So
Ah.
you're not losing audience because of TikTok. Don't worry about it.
Thank
And of
you.
course, I will include your website link in the episode description
Sounds
so
great.
that people can check it out. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you very much. And until next time, be peaceful, don't fight, be human, and tata bye bye.